Mr. Luke Wilson. I talked to him earlier in the week, and this is what it sounded like.
I think I've just been so trained to not cuss that I don't even cuss.
Yeah, it's funny watching people come in here and freak out when they accidentally curse, and we're all like, don't worry about it. It's good. It's fine.
Generation gap.
Welcome to the Sam Roberts Show, Luke Wilson. How's it going, man?
Doing great, Sam. Thanks.
Do you think film's in trouble? Because there's so much good TV. You're a film star, and you're doing TV now. You're doing Enlightened on HBO. And there was a long time when you didn't see movie stars doing TV until after they were done making movies. But now it's like...
Or before, yeah.
Yeah, or before. But now it's a thing, because TV has somehow become great.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking to people about that, but I also think, I grew up, like watching Hill Street Blues, and I was a big Miami Vice fan. So I think there was always some really good TV, but I guess, now with Showtime and HBO and things like that, you do have these kind of more epic shows, and then you have a couple of classics like The Sopranos, and then maybe that's kind of something like that, maybe change the game. But yeah, I grew up, a big fan of TV and movies, so for me, I always kind of, it's fun. And I've never got to do a series like Enlightened, so it's fun to kind of do that and work with the same crew and have
meaning like having a regular
and
role.
having more time to spend on a story.
Yeah. Maybe it's also because like right before this kind of boom of good shows coming out, it was just everything was reality shows. So we probably weren't used to seeing anything good on TV.
That's true. I mean, I think it's maybe going kind of neck and neck with the reality shows. And I'm sure if you looked at ratings or something, The Bachelor, blows, Boardwalk Empire out of the water. But
do you look at ratings? Because like Enlightened is one of those shows that like it struggled in the ratings.
I hear that it's struggling.
But the people who love it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't look at the ratings. I'm interested in them. If I had them on a piece of paper, I would look at them. But yeah, it's like box office. I mean, I can see how if you did great at the box office, you'd get into it. Yeah, like Will Smith or like Tom Cruise. It's got to be like, hey, number one again.
Right.
But
like maybe after you realized old school was becoming a phenomenon, you'd be like, let me check out these numbers.
That might have been the last one that I was like really into the numbers.
Yeah. Would you also develop like a confidence after working for as long as you've been working that it's not so much about this moment, that everything, good stuff will always be there?
Yeah, I mean, I know that those kind of things go up and down, but also I feel like I've worked on some good things with good people and then, just hasn't done anything. Mm-hmm. So, and, growing up, whether it's a great album or a great movie, there are things that have just come and gone, and then later on people appreciated them. So I'm always aware of that, too. Or maybe that's just what I tell myself.
Did you always want to be an actor, or did you guys do Bottle Rocket and then just kind of stumble into it?
Yeah, more kind of stumbling into it. I mean, we were, really into the movies, and that was kind of our focus without, without ever thinking like, okay, we want to be filmmakers. I think as we got older, like, college age where people were having to find a trade, we were, the movies were the only thing we kind of realized, well, gosh, this is really what we've been into. And then but I had it not been for Owen and Wes Anderson, I don't see myself having moved to New York to become an actor.
And was it kind of like, was Owen always the one who was like, no, this is what we're doing? Did he kind of lead the pack and make it?
I think he and Wes were pretty driven guys. They met at the University of Texas in Austin, and I think Wes really clearly wanted to be a director, and Owen was really interested in writing. And then, just in terms of keeping it simple and what you had at your disposal.
But you've never been interested in writing?
No, I like writing too.
You do?
Yeah, I've written a few scripts and one that got made. This movie, The Wendell Baker Story, that my brother Andrew and I directed. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard work. But I figure, with all the time you have on your hands as an actor, whether you're on the job or not, that's a good thing to try and do, try and generate something yourself.
So when you guys are first coming out, and your brothers and all three of you are working on this thing, and is it tough because you got to make sure that you're all on board? Because it sounds like Owen at that point might have been more clearly like, no, this is the path I'm on, and if you guys aren't committed, you know what I mean? Was there any issue with...
Yeah, no, I think we were all kind of definitely committed together just because we didn't really have any other options. And I think it did kind of band us together in that, we were really focused after we made a short film on getting a feature made.
Right.
And we really, I feel like we were more hopeful than driven. But yeah, those guys definitely, Owen and Wes, I would look at maybe as more driven, but there was also a lot of hoping.
And I would imagine, you get a taste of it, and you're like, wait, I could do this?
That's the thing. I can remember when Bottle Rocket got greenlit, and then the studio didn't want to make the movie, and then they came back and said, okay, we're going to make the movie, but can we just please get some real actors in it? And I was saying, hey, that seems like I'll do that. Wes directs it. We get them on the next one. Yeah.
Let's
get some real guys in this. We don't need to do this. And, and then James L. Brooks, who produced it, to his credit, he's the one who kind of said, if you're going to make it, you got to use these guys.
So that was great. So you weren't even really fighting for it.
No, I was
whatever. Okay.
I was just kind of rooting for Wes.
Yeah,
Wes and Owen to get something made.
I don't want to get anyone mad. If you're going to make it, just make it with whoever.
Whatever.
Is it? What's it like working with Wes Anderson as the first guy you work with? Because Wes Anderson obviously has a vision that's kind of different than anything that you see being made before or after, really. Is it what's the difference between working with, say, Todd Phillips and Wes Anderson? Because I think Wes Anderson movies are comedies.
Yeah.
You could debate that probably, but what are the differences between those directors as far as?
It's funny you mentioned those two guys because in a lot of ways they're really kind of similar. I think, in that, again, going back to the idea of being driven, how Todd got started was he made this kind of strange documentary about fraternities, and then he just kind of kept building on that. But yeah, they're similar in certain ways, but yeah, and then obviously just when you look at how they set up their shots and the movies they've made, you can't really draw parallels between Old School and The Hangover and the Darjeeling Express,
of course.
But again, those guys are contemporaries just in terms of age, and I think grew up liking the same things. Maybe Wes kind of liked more foreign films, but definitely, would have grown up on The Godfather.
But is Wes more of a guy who's no. I've seen the movie already in my head. This is the way we're doing it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Maybe Todd's plays a little more fast and loose, but that also comes from who, he'd be working with and the kind of script he writes. Yeah, Wes. And yeah, you mentioned what's it like having him be the first guy you worked with. I didn't think everybody was going to be like Wes, and they're not. He definitely is kind of a special filmmaker, and that still comes across in each movie he makes. But he, right down to the way he dresses and the way he wanted wardrobe to be, you didn't pick your own wardrobe with Wes, whereas Todd, you're never going to hear the whoa, where'd you get that? Or the cuff on that pant is not right.
Oh, but Wes is details.
Where Wes is right down to what color the wall behind you is during a shot. Where Todd's probably not that way.
And he's just just make it funny. Whatever you do,
exactly.
just make it funny, make people laugh.
Right. But the thing is, Wes is not to say that's Wes isn't against things like ad-libbing or something like that. He's not rigid, but he definitely has things mapped out.
Is it weird then working on a series like you're working on now, like Enlightened, that has different directors for episodes, and kind of the story, you're used to, a director kind of owning a story.
Yeah. Well,
And
I
now,
kept saying to each new director, I was like, they fired the fucking last guy. I was like, that didn't really go over so well with like Jonathan Demme. And he'd say, hey man, just do your thing, just keep quiet. But they fired the last guy. And they've been firing a guy a week here. So I'm just trying to get by. No, yeah, it was funny to work with a different director every week.
Because depending on the director, like Jonathan Demme, you might trust, but like a new director, you'd be like, no, I mean, I've been doing the character. I know it. Don't worry about it.
Right. I mean, I've never felt that way. And those guys, and that was one interesting thing about it, is those guys all seemed aware that, you know, it might not be their production designer or cinematographer, but they were all kind of using the same guy, and you want the shows to all look the same.
Yeah.
So that to me was like interesting, just even in terms of lighting, like, you know, Todd Haynes might not light something like Mike White would, and if it were a movie, but because it's a show, they got to stick to this aesthetic.
And they're kind of aware of that going in. They're just
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is what it is. This is the gig.
Yeah. But yeah, that was one really fun part of it, is different directors.
I was just excited to see on Enlightened that the guy who played your roommate was the big dude from Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
Have you watched Sons of Anarchy?
No, I didn't, or I haven't yet. I mean, I've seen it
I
on cable.
won't.
No, I don't mean, yeah, it came across wrong. I meant after I'd worked with him, I really liked him.
Yeah.
I actually got his business card right in my pocket, but he's a really good actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are they gonna do Old School too? There's actually an article. There's an Ask Men, because I was reading about you like last night. Make sure there's an article, an Ask Men article that says you've starred in movies such as Old School and Old School 2. And I go, was there a DVD strip?
I think Old School 2 might have been The Hangover.
Yeah.
No, I think that was something they talked about at one time, but I just don't think they could ever really get it together, unfortunately. But
Has it been too long now, you think?
Yeah, it might be a little like statute of limitations. It might be a little.
And are you doing Anchorman too? It's on your IMDb.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been asked or anything. I don't even think they've started shooting, but yeah, it's definitely something I'd like to do. I had fun the couple days I worked on the first one.
Old School was the first that was the first big movie for Will Ferrell after SNL, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think he'd definitely done things like Roxbury Guys,
right?
But yeah, that was the first one where
that was kind of the tester to see if this guy.
Yeah, and I think that's the one where he kind of might have broken.
Did you know that he was going to break through? Or can you never know?
No, I didn't have that feeling, but I just I couldn't believe how funny he was.
Yeah,
and it's one of those. I haven't had that happen very many times where it would just be like. You'd be so excited to go to the set just because he is such a funny and a really good guy. But yeah, I just had never really been around a comedian like that where it's almost like an athletic thing where, I could feel him in scenes like where he almost had you on the ropes in terms of like making you laugh. And I feel like he can almost see it in your eyes.
He's trying to break you the whole time.
Yeah, where I would really have to like dig in so that I didn't ruin a scene.
You're just like clenching your fists so your nails are digging into your palms.
Really. I didn't feel like, wow, this guy's gonna, come out of this great. But I definitely had a great time working with him.
I think it's Colin Quinn and maybe Jim Brewer said working with him on SNL that he would just walk around never breaking character, and literally they dragged him into a room one time and raped him and he wouldn't get out of the character as they were doing it. He would not break.
Hadn't heard that.
You also work with Tracy Morgan. Tell me this Tracy Morgan story. Is this true that he didn't remember your name after working with you? That's what I read.
He called me Lou.
Was that just the way Tracy Morgan says?
No,
Lou?
I just think he thought my name was Lou Wilson, which I kind of thought was kind of cool.
Like a
kind of Irish mobster.
No, but didn't he not recognize you when you were in your street clothes? Or?
No, I'd see him at the end of the day and be like, "See you later, Tracy," and he'd be like, "See you later, Lou."
Okay.
So yeah, I was like, "Hey." Calls me Lou.
I'll take it. It's Tracy Morgan. What are you going to do?
He's great, too.
And that's the other question I wanted to ask you. Working with Bob Dylan. You worked with Bob Dylan on a movie. Now, movies are your area of expertise, I would think, especially next to Bob Dylan. He's an artist, but he's never done movies really. When a guy like Bob Dylan is on the set, are you nervous about working with Bob Dylan, or are you confident in that this is one thing I'm pretty sure I could probably do better than him?
No, I definitely wasn't thinking that way, but I think he's a huge movie fan.
Yeah.
So I definitely had the feeling that he was into it. But yeah, guys like that and, Christopherson, it can't be that hard to do a scene with somebody if you can stand up on stage in front of thousands of people. But yeah, he definitely.
Plus, you remember that you were almost not a movie star, so it's not like anybody could just all of a sudden.
Right. No, he was. It's not like he was kind of molding himself like Gary Oldman into some completely different character. He was kind of playing a troubadour type guy, which I think kind of obviously comes naturally to him. But yeah, I think he's just a movie fan, so it was something he wanted to do, and he was cool to be in scenes with. Yeah, you don't strike me as somebody who gets like antsy or nervous working with different people. I mean, I was definitely a really big fan of his. I mean, I did make the point to not ask him stuff. Like I was, people would come up to him and say, "Do you remember this song or this concert or this person?" And he'd always just say, "No, I don't remember." And I was like, "Okay, Lou, just don't ask him any questions." Did he call you Lou? No, he actually did. Dylan knew my name, Tracy didn't. Well, Enlightened is tonight and Sundays at 9:30 on HBO. Do you watch the other shows on HBO and try to outdo them? Because Girls is also on Sunday. Girls is a great show. Yeah, I mean, I know people are really into Girls. I guess it's one of those things where I feel lucky that we're kind of a matched up with them. 1-2 punch. Yeah, because I was just reading. She's the voice of a generation. I guess so. Yeah, I think it's the. Just found that out. Who knew? I think she's one generation behind me, but it's interesting to read that. But yeah, people love that show, and yeah, I don't think we try and. I think my favorite HBO show is probably Eastbound. Oh my God, that's just such a funny show. It really is. Yeah, it's one of those shows that it's genius. It really is. And I was saying to a friend of mine, it's like. Kenny Powers never says anything that isn't funny. I don't know if he can even say that about Seinfeld, who always, but it's just, he's never not saying something that's funny. And it's so difficult to have a character like him that's that over the top and for it not to get old. Like, you just want more episodes. Exactly. Yeah. From the moment when his truck is pulling up and you think he's doing a monologue, but he's listening to his own book on tape. It's like from that moment you're I haven't even seen that one. It's really good. Great. Well, but you don't get competitive over that stuff. No, I mean, you just like stuff that entertains you and try to entertain people. Yeah, and HBO I think they obviously have done a lot of cool stuff, so just feel glad that Enlightened is on there. Cool. Well, check out Enlightened, 9:30 every Sunday. Thank you for being here, Luke. Thanks, Sam. Had fun. Thank you.